All right, and welcome to episode 63 of the Mitchell and Tony Show. Today I am here with
Respect.
and I'm here with Favor, and very quickly we just want to be throwing our own perspectives, opinions, light into the recent Tony Elumelu's case where a young girl called him by his name and he got defensive sort of and called it off and told her to not call me Tony. You either call me Chief, Mr. Elumelu, or something like that. And yeah, we just want to like basically give our perspective on it. And let's start with Favor. It's very good to have you on the pod. Thank you for being here with us.
Um. All right. So, good afternoon. It's a privilege again to be here. A huge thank you to the co-host. The host and everybody as earlier introduced and favor. And yeah, about the Tony Elumelu case. Truth be told, Nigerians are just the one behind the whole brouhaha that's going on. There's no big deal about it. And the way the thing is generating traffic on the internet, if you ask me, is not even needed. It's just a little something that, because of we are a country of particular concern, we give reference to some certain things that are not even important to start with. Okay, the lady in question happens to be a graduate trainee from UBA's program, their banking school, and according to reports, one of the things they teach them there is the formal way of doing things, whereby staffs call one another by their first name. So a whole lot of persons have come out to say that, look, that's the normal, that's how it is, that was what she was taught. If she had known better, she would not have done it. She's just giving out what she was taught, And coming from that angle first, I do not believe in the concept of garbage in, garbage out.
Okay.
Even if you were taught to do something, it's just commonsensical to try to be different. If you were taught that the only way to a particular place is through this particular route, it just shows how dumb you are as a person to actually take that only route. So if your excuse is that the way you greeted or addressed Mr. Elumelu is because that was what you were taught, it holds no water, because you can actually be different. It costs you nothing to have actually addressed him as sir at most, or anything but respect. It costs nothing. But then let's just put it as though they just wanted to just fit into that unnecessary gap of, oh, let's give them what they give us, which is everybody's notion basically in today's world. Since it was done like this, we also do it like that. And this is also the same mistake we make even in today's world. Nobody's ready to be different. Nobody's ready to do something out of the normal. Everybody just wants to feel like since this is what they are doing, we do it too. Addressing your chairman, because one thing about the program is once you pass through the program, you are an automatic staff.
Okay.
Yes, you are an automatic staff, a core staff, not a contract staff. So imagine talking to your boss, the one that pays your salary, owns at least a large chunk of the business, is not familiar with you in any way. You are a student from everything it looks like, and you are addressing him by his first name, an African. I would need to point out that that's also very important. Let's not scratch it. An African, and you're addressing him by his first name. That's in every sense wrong on the girl's part. Tony was not being defensive. Tony just said his mind. It's just everybody's way of life. If I do not like something, I'll call you out and tell you, look, this is how it should have been done better. And he did not do any wrong. He said, look, call me TOE, call me Mr. Elumelu, call me chairman. Do you understand? He didn't say much. And then he went further to have said, okay, look, I don't subscribe to that. Maybe that's where some Nigerians feel he went off, because I mean, what do you mean you don't subscribe to that? Or it's still his choice to say he's not actually subscribing to that.
Yeah, to choose how he wants to be
Yes, it's
addressed.
just how he wants to be addressed. After all, an English proverb says you dress the way you want to be addressed. He's dressed as the chairman for that event. So you should address him as the chairman of the event. He should be addressed as whatever he dresses as, whatever he comes to you as. Do you understand? So for me, I just feel like, and one thing again I would draw about the whole thing is the fact that even after being corrected, the girl herself did not act as though she was corrected. She did not acknowledge the correction. She did not even say, "Oh, sorry, sir," or "Thank you." There was nothing after the correction, and to me, that's like a big turn off. If I'm going to be correcting you about something, it's just, in my opinion, to understand that yes, you got the correction I gave you with your response.
Probably by repeating his name and
By
adding that
repeating his name
Mr.
again or
Elumelu.
something like
Yeah.
that, yes, and or just even saying thank you, sir, for the correction,
Thanks, sir.
something like
Yeah.
that. It just shows how at least remorseful you are. But she
Okay,
didn't.
she just went on with her
Went
question.
on with the question. Which is bad, which is
actually
in
bad.
every sense bad.
Yeah. But somebody posted the video. I think the first place that I saw the video, and along with the video, he posted his own take on it, and he was like, "We Nigerians love doing too much. People like Elon Musk are addressed by their name. People like Zuckerberg, people like Bill Gates, even people like Warren Buffett. These people are addressed by their names. So, what is Elumelu feeling like telling somebody that they shouldn't call him Tony? Why shouldn't they call him Tony? That we are in the 21st century. This was person's whole take on it, and especially the whole part of this is how Elon Musk, the richest man on the planet, is being addressed. So why can't we address you like this? So what do you like? If you could say something to that person, or what would you say?
What I would say to that person is just being unnecessarily unintelligent.
Yeah.
Because if I would say something about that, comparing Mox to Tony is actually wrong in every sense. First, that's a Western word. We are not in the Western world. They do not have that culture of respect as we Africans have. I mean, it's in the Western world. Kids walk up to their parents and shake their parents, call their parents by their first name, and all that. And it's also in the Western world where where they are probably free to do some certain things, but not here.
Yeah.
It just makes a whole lot of sense. Why would you be comparing Mark, who is the richest man in the world? Neither is it that Tony is actually broke. He's also a billionaire.
Yeah.
In dollars, I'd say that.
Yeah.
This is somebody that said on national TV that he had every right to be paying his daughter $50,000 every month when she schooled in London Business School for her masters. He could afford it, but then he didn't. But saying it on live TV that he could afford it tells you that he's not actually broke, as maybe not as rich as Elon. But then away from that, saying who is Tony to not to be addressed like that is quite unintelligent, because I mean, I have every right to what I want to be seen, perceived, or taken as, whether I am rich, whether I am poor. If I do not want to tolerate some certain things, it should not even be a thing of my capacity. It should be a thing of my humanness first. As a person, I do not want to tolerate this. That's why in today's world we have boundaries. People set boundaries. Whether you are rich, whether you are poor, people set boundaries. If I am telling you, look, in my space, this is what you have to do. If you are around me, this is what you have to do. It does not necessarily mean you that is giving the rule, you are bigger than I am. You've just come to that point where you've understood that, look, if you tolerate that, it will breed disrespect, it will breed contempt, and the way you will handle that disrespect is not the way they will handle that disrespect. You are going to curtail that disrespect to keep the friendliness going. They might not curtail it, they might just allow it, and then you find out that people who even tolerate that kind of disrespect. Have you understood something about the Western world? When you're necessarily familiar with them, you don't get the best of them. Yes, somebody who calls Elon by his first name, even as a co-worker, you find out that there is no form of seriousness like that the person will probably get. You probably have limited access. I'm just assuming, I'm not saying. But when you do not respect somebody enough, you will not get the best out of the person. Access, their time, what they know, value, and everything, because you do not respect them. So if for any reason you are going to be disrespecting somebody, it comes at a cost. And if you're going to be respecting somebody, it also comes at a cost. The summary of everything is this: comparing Tony to Elon is wrong in every sense. Saying that Tony does not have the right to caution the girl or feel like he was disrespected is also wrong, because I can set boundaries. I don't need to be as rich as Elon to set
Set
boundaries.
boundaries.
I don't need to be as poor as anybody to set boundaries. I am setting boundaries to protect myself. I might be the type that words hurts me. I might be the type that I read emotions. I might be the type that, so I know a whole lot of things get to me. I get to calculate. I get to understand some certain things. So for you not to get into that part where you get crossed with me, for you not to get into that part whereby I start growing contempt towards you,
Yeah.
it's best I call you out and say, look, I don't like this, I don't like this, don't do it again, and then we are cool. So yeah.
But the problem is that a lot of Nigerians and a lot of people that saw that video interpreted it as pride, right? Tony Elumelu is a billionaire, well known, well respected. So anything he does is there's this secondary meaning that people would read into it. In fact, until I heard you say it now, just thinking about it, what happened on stage there was a normal human being setting boundaries.
Yeah.
That's what happened. But since it is Tony Elumelu we have been talking that we're talking about now, it's like this rich man is trying to show himself off. You understand? But normally what does happen was that somebody is just setting boundaries. But now simply because of it, Elumelu, it's more or less like this person is trying to show off or whatever, which is actually very very good point. The whole point of boundaries.
So let me say something little. You said something about the fact that Nigerians had their opinion. Truth of the matter is, Nigerians are always sometimes can be emotionally biased when it comes to saying the truth.
Yeah.
Sometimes we say the truth not because we think that is the truth. We say the truth for maybe social media engagement, for emotions, for cloud chasing, and all these things. Saying to my face, or saying, or me reading, for instance, and that somebody is saying, oh, the reason why Tony said that rule was because he was rich, and he did that just to maybe oppress her because he's the bigger picture. I mean, for somebody who owns more than half of Seplat, last year, December 26 or 27, Tony Elumelu bought shares worth $500 million through one of his company in Seplat, an indigenous oil company that is into both oil exploration and oil mining and everything. This same Tony Elumelu owns Transcorp Hilton, one of the most beautiful, elegant hotels in Nigeria and even in Africa. Transcorp Hilton. This is the same person that owns one of Africa's Pan-Atlantic Bank, UBA. This is somebody that shares boards from Hairs Holding. Just recently, during his last birthday, where he gave each person he gave over 2,500 applicants to 2,600 applicants around African continent $5,000 dash money to start business through his foundation, the Tony Elumelu Foundation. I mean, this is somebody that owns and shares a whole lot of things. So even if he's coming from that sense of rich man, he's actually a rich man. He's actually a very decent rich man. And for anything he puts out is valid. I mean, after all, he's not bragging for bragging sake. He's not bragging on that empty things. There's so many portfolios we can go on and on and on listening about Tony. But then the fact is this: is that what he was actually portraying? No, because he was only trying to correct a young girl. Somebody is old enough to be her father.
Yeah.
Somebody is old enough to be her mentor, be everything. He has. This is someone that has, and the correction was not just to show off; it was to protect her, because she has made the mistake. Now he has corrected her. Beyond that point, what if she gets into a branch in UBA and she makes that kind of mistake where Tony is probably not there?
Not there.
And she does it to maybe their branch manager or something. The person will take it up and frown at it. Maybe give her resignation letter for disrespect and all those things. And that's the end of it. So he corrected her to protect her. It might not even be for UBA. Maybe she's seeking another job within Nigeria. The fact is that we Nigerians are heavy on respect. The earlier, the
Yeah.
better. So if I am going to say anything, he didn't do it from a place of big madness or richness. He just did it to show that, look, you have to respect me. I was listening to, I would summarize this. I was listening to Ibokwan Awoshika today, in the early hours of today, and she was showing her weight into this issue. And then she was mentioning when she chaired First Bank, when she was the first female chairman of First Bank, that even some of the top executives, she would always address them as brother this, brother that, because she's Yoruba. So she had to address them as, even as somebody who holds a top position at that time in one of Africa's oldest, profitable banks.
Yeah.
She was still addressing them as brother, and she was speaking to a relative of her, and then the girl was trying to speak with Ibukwa Oshika about something, and then the lady now said something, and Pastor Awoshika had to correct her, said, no, don't call this person. This is somebody who had tasted power too. This is somebody who understood what it means to sit in a board filled with men in the room. She was literally the chairman of a bank that had a lot of capable men, fathers, experienced men, professionals, and even though she was elevated more than all of them, she still gave them their respect.
Wow.
So what are we still talking about? It's just wrong in every sense, and the fact that we stop glorifying the wrong things and just say the way it is, and look, in every form she was wrong, that will settle a whole lot of things.
Do you think that probably with time, or no, let me ask you that. Do you think that what she did was wrong because of where we are, which is Nigeria, Africa to be precise?
Yes.
Or do you think it was wrong because in and of itself, calling somebody that is that old by his first name is wrong?
Okay, it's not even about the office, it's about the age. I'm very sure. Okay, Showore was saying something. I read something about Showore on his X page, that's on Twitter, and then he said that if either of Tony's sons or daughter would call their gate man by their first name, why then was Tony pissed that somebody called him by his first name? And I'm trying to understand. Yes, Showore did that. He did that. And I'm asking myself, how do these two positions relate? A gatesman, a chairman of a bank. How do they relate? Let's call it spade a spade. How do they actually relate? It's no brainer. The truth of the matter is, take out age, take out whatever. The fact is, I am your boss. I am your head. If I have not established a form of familiarity yet with you, accord me that this person you're talking about is a student. Even in normal setting, even in normal setting in a university, you will address your lecturer as Mr. This.
Yes.
Even if he has just a master's and there's no PhD, you will address him as Mr. This said this. Even in secondary school, we don't even call our teacher by his name. How about somebody who chairs a bank? His company, his bank literally did a program you benefited from, even if you paid for it. The fact is, he's the boss, is the chairman, is the head. The best thing that could have been done at that point is to accord him the needed respect. Good morning, sir. My question is this. There's a way you could have even skipped his name. Good morning, sir. I have a question. And you go on.
Yeah, she jumped the gun with Tony.
She just went, good morning, Tony. How? I was telling a friend one time that if it were me, Tony was even calm. Even when I would issue her, she would, like, I would ask security. I'm just joking. But then I would also frown at it if it were me.
Yeah.
Because you are my student, 1. 2, I am your boss. 3, I am more or less somebody you don't see often.
Yeah.
I mean, absence they say breeds respect. The fact that you don't see somebody often and often should breed respect. I don't know how many times Tony might have taught them in their class or whatever. I'm sure it's not always around.
Of course.
It's not always around.
Yeah.
So that's the fact that you don't see this person often does it now mean you should now become unnecessarily familiar all of a sudden with him because you just saw him on that particular day? No, no. To me, I just feel like it was not even about the age. I mean, Tony did not correct her on grounds of the age. It was just based on the office. And he said it. He said, address me as chairman, address me as Mr. Elumelu, or informally TOE. I mean, he went across all boards. He mentioned chairman, an official setting. He mentioned Mr. Elumelu as a senior person. Then he mentioned TOE on a familiar basis. So, I mean,
I feel like it's an African something. It's not news that the West usually address people twice their age, three times their age, four times their age by their first name.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not news. So I think this whole, some people are saying, oh, Elon Musk would have done X. Why is Elumelu doing like this? I feel like it's more of our cultural way of thinking, right? So it's not, again, it's not, I wouldn't say it's wrong in and of itself. Permit me to, I wouldn't say it's wrong in and of itself, but I'm saying that knowing the culture that you're in, the place that you're in, the kind of our way of life, you should know that inside this particular setting, addressing him as Tony was wrong in and of itself.
And even beyond the Africanism
Yeah.
of the whole situation, I said something before that when you disrespect somebody, you won't gain the full benefit of knowing the person.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not even an African something. It's an unspoken rule of life. I got to know this when I read the book 48 Laws of Power. If you constantly disrespect somebody, you will not enjoy the benefit of knowing the person because the person will see you from an arm's length, like range. He will see you from that arm's length kind of thing. Even in the Western world, these people are smart. There's a way you will talk to me, and maybe with respect to the tone at which you're talking to me, or even the fact that you called me by a name that is not supposed to be known to you, even if it is public, it's not supposed to be known to you, and you address me by that. I will look at you in a particular way, even if I do not react in that way. But mind you, the reason why they do not react is that there are rules restricting them to. Here, there are no rules. Not as though they would not have reacted. And they are not laissez-faire because they cannot be laissez-faire. They are laissez-faire because there are rules that holds them that look, you cannot hit this person even if they wrong you. Just report to the nearest authority. That I'm talking about the Western world now. I'm just saying generally that look, if you disrespect somebody, if you don't know how to communicate honor to somebody in the right way, at the right time, in the right place, you will never get the best value of them. You will never, you might be in a place where there are multi-millionaires, multi-billionaires. There are people who would help and support you, and sometimes it's just probably how you are seated nonchalantly. Sometimes it's just how you are putting your hand gesture nonchalantly. Sometimes it's the fact that you're even eating before them. All of a sudden you are reaching out to this before people that are there. All of a sudden it's probably how you are talking. All of a sudden it's probably how you are raising your shoulders. All of a sudden it's just the little things, the very little things. And this is what we do not consider well enough. It's not even an African something. It's a very, very strong hidden principle that the truth of the matter is we are not ready to pay attention to enough. If I repeat again, if you constantly disrespect somebody, you will not get the entire value of knowing them. So it's not an African something. Even if you go to Germany today, that's why in an organized system there are organograms. There are some persons that they are higher and there are some persons that they are the highest. That is still the same respect you're talking about. You cannot just take your complaints through to the chairman or through to the CEO or through to the president of the organization. There are persons you reach out to, and it's just respectful of you to reach out to this person before you get to this person. That was the same thing Tony was addressing. That look, before you get to that point where you start seeing me as just a random, let me call you back and bring you back to the fact that look, you have to do some certain things in some certain right way
Yeah.
before you now overstep your boundaries. That's just it. So Even if you go to Germany, if you go to the UK, I mean, before you see the Queen, as rather the King now,
Yeah.
there are some things you will have to go through. There are some persons you have to pass through. There's a way you sit down. There are some food you will eat. In fact, I even got to understood that some persons in the royal family, there's some food they eat. There's a posture they put themselves when they're in public. There are some dresses they should not wear. All these rules and regulations, it's still the same thing even outside there, but maybe it's just that it's not more or less the whole sit down when I'm talking to you like the one
Yeah,
we do
yeah,
here in
yeah.
Africa. It's not like, but there's still that
Okay. But
respect
that,
even
that, that
outside.
respect, yeah, irrespective
Yeah,
of where we are, Africa, America, Germany, that respect must still
yes,
always be
yes,
there.
it still holds.
Must still always be there. And I think that there's something that came to mind when we were speaking. There are certainly people that do call him Tony.
Hmm.
There are certainly people that do call him Tony. And just like you said, I feel like it's more or less like a let me bring you back to where we are in reality. In reality, we are not at that moment where we address each other
Hmm.
by our first name. You understand?
Yes, yes.
Who knows probably if these people work together after a decade,
Mm-hmm.
you could see her addressing him by Tony and he wouldn't mind. Because maybe they have been through a lot. She has passed through the chairman and all these
Mm-hmm.
things, but not necessarily starting from Tony.
Mm.
So yeah, I think that's a very, very beautiful perspective.
Actually, and just to buttress a bit,
Yeah.
I was watching something online where a sitting governor, I can't remember the state, even addressed Tony Elumelu as Mr. Tony Elumelu.
Mm.
This is a sitting governor of a particular state. One time Tony had visited their state for a conference, an economic conference, and then the governor had to address him as Mr. Tony Elumelu. I mean, if a governor can do that, how much more a student? So it's just the thing is we just love to exaggerate things in Africa.
Yeah, yeah.
And the matter is not even supposed to have gone this wide
It's
or
right and far.
gotten this. It's just she understanding she did the wrong thing, and we just need to tell. I will not allow my kids to disrespect any of my friend or anybody that I know, or even in a formal setting. None of my children will disrespect anybody they are not at least that familiar with yet.
Yeah.
When you see somebody you don't know that is an elder, you greet. When you are not asked to speak in a function, do not speak. When you want to greet, there's a proper way to greet. When you want to do some certain, there's a proper way. So it's just it.
Yeah. And if imagine if that governor just addressed him as Tony Elumelu, it would look more or less like because I'm a governor, I don't
Mm,
have to call you sir. Right? Like even for people in power, that whole formality
mm,
is important. Because respect knows no title, status,
yes.
or location.
Yeah.
Respect is something that is universal and everyone deserves it. So my own take is what the girl did was wrong. Like people said, we are the ones that are just over exaggerating it. Like
Mm-hmm.
why are we even like exaggerating? Like what she did was wrong.
In every sense.
And Tony, let's use Tony. Tony is like representing that African parent
Mm.
corrected her. So that was just what happened. So I
Simple.
don't think it's anything that should be pulling as much internet traffic as it is now. But now we are Nigerians.
You get
We love exaggerating
we
things.
I mean somebody said something that the reason why we have so many comedians and content creators in particular Nigeria than we have in other countries like Germany is the person said that a country that has what to laugh about would always laugh at themselves. I mean, you will come to Germany and
You won't
you
see,
won't see
yeah,
comedians, content
skit
creators, skit makers, all
makers.
this kind of thing. It's only here whereby there's something to laugh about. If it is not the governor, it is the first lady, the president, it is the system, it's something. So trust us, Nigeria. It's always the wrong thing that sells the most.
Yeah, yeah. This was a very, very beautiful
I was an
and
honor to be
an
here again.
enlightening conversation. I hope we can do this some other time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I'm grateful too.